That is that our group for the moment? Yes. Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Holden with Partners Health Management, and this morning we're going to talk about Social Wellness Month, and really more specifically about social connectedness and social connections across various ages. And so we have two presenters, primary presenters for us today, and one is Brianna Smoot from the Iredell County Senior Center, who's going to talk to us about organized activities for seniors, and Tasha Smith from Adventure House in Shelby, and she'll be talking about the clubhouse model of psychosocial rehabilitation. But first, we thought that social connections, and that's a little vague for folks. We wanted to all be on the same page and from the same hymnal here. So first, I want to introduce Amber Matthews, our manager of our training group with partners, who's going to speak a little bit about social connections and kind of frame our conversation for today. Amber?
Thank you, Paul. So as our community cafe was talking, we sometimes just jump straight into topics and don't really give a whole lot of context, which is amazing. And also sometimes we need to frame a little context. So Paul did a lovely job introducing this, but I kind of just want to talk about why we're talking about social connectedness. We all can say, oh yeah, having people that love and accept us are important qualities of life, but I actually want to read a definition of what social connectedness is, so that we can kind of get a better grasp of what it means and why it's important in every single one of our lives. So a quick Google search said, social connectedness refers to the feeling of belonging and closeness to others, forming the foundation of interpersonal relationships and impacting overall well-being. When you think about social connectedness, it's kind of the opposite of loneliness. So when we feel connected and accepted by others who are connected and accepting of us, and we are that to them, that bond and that relationship can combat things like depression, anxiety, combat loneliness. Those relationships are what are important for us to be resilient, right? As we go through challenging and complex things in our lives. Those relationships and that connectedness we feel to others in our community can really be the things that make us strong and continue to give us strength to cope through those stressful parts of life. It's also important for our physical health, right? When we feel connected to people, places, things, it gets us out of the house, it gets us moving our bodies sometimes, and then also encourages just healthier behavior. I don't know about anybody else, but I personally work out more often when I have a buddy to work out with me, right? Or things like that. So those connectedness, those social interactions are really, really important. It's good for our brains. It's something that can also combat things like dementia and Alzheimer's. So just some things to think about as we talk about what social connectedness is and how it's important in our lives. As we hear from Brianna and from Tasha, those things are really important. And if we don't have those things in our life, right, maybe we can find some of those things in our life and look in, really interesting places so that we can feel that connectedness and again, combat some of those things that could be negative or challenging in our lives. So that's just kind of a quick overview. I'm going to pass it over to Brianna so she can talk to us about the Senior Center.
Hi everyone, I'm Brianna Smoot. So I am Director of Community Impact and Engagement at the Iredell Council on Aging here in Iredell County. And that title is very new to me this month, actually. Before I was Director of Senior Centers for both our Senior Center in Statesville, which is our Iredell Senior Center, and our Senior Center in Mooresville, which is our South Iredell Senior Center. So the Iredell Council on Aging, we're very strong on promoting just an overall holistic wellness of an individual. So that's looking at their social aspects, their financial aspects in a way of helping connecting them with any resources to just be able to continue kind of living in the place that they're at. Really with our senior centers, we very much so focus on that social aspect by providing activities, programs. Some of those programs could be educational programs that kind of will help them with different topics like fitness, nutrition, that those financial components, scams, frauds, as well as their mental health as well, because we know that is one of the bigger kind of issues that tend to be overlooked with a lot of them. So that could be their Alzheimer's, dementia, depression, and social isolation as well is one of the things that we have seen a lot coming out of COVID. A lot of our participants have kind of just been in a state where they were isolated for so long. And kind of during that time, they've even lost a spouse or a friend. Those people that they had those strong connections with that they kind of just went through life. And now we've seen a lot of them where they're kind of at the point of they've continued staying at home, continue kind of being isolated without that person that they kind of just have been spending day to day with. And we've started seeing them coming back into our senior centers and reconnecting with new people. And so that has been the biggest difference. And one of the biggest things that I've heard from individuals who are a lot newer, they'll come for one program, come for one class, and they'll meet somebody that just kind of meets them at that place of where they're at right now. And with meeting them at that place, they start helping them take the steps to then become healthier, whether that's mentally, whether that's physically, and just those little talks on even a couch or during a card game has really just made a huge difference in their lives. And then they start coming out more, and then they feel more confident in themselves as well, and as the friends that they're making too. So at our senior centers, we have different activities such as card games like canasta, um, bridge, hand and foot, 5 rounds. And then we also have kind of more fitness activities, like our chair exercise. They love beach ball volleyball. We also help them engage with participants from Special Olympics, which they're actually getting ready to start that pretty soon. And then we also try to have that intergenerational um, interaction as well. So during the school season, during that activity, fourth graders from a nearby school will come and participate with them as well. And that kind of just, again, overall just helps them feel like they have a new family here that they can come and confide in, as well as still be active, be social, and just really help with their mental health. Um, and then we have activities like cardio drumming. Sometimes that's a nice, good stress reliever while they're also listening to some great music. Um, at our Mooresville Senior Center, they have water aerobics. So that also helps for those who have a little bit more of trouble kind of getting around. So a lot of the times when they're unable to move um, at the same capacity that they were before, they kind of get a little bit more sedentary. But with water aerobics, where it's a lot easier on their joints and their muscles, they start to build back up that strength for them. And it shows that even though you can't quite do something in the same capacity that you were able to before, you can still make some modifications so that way they can still go out, they can still be active. So that's really mainly what our senior centers are about is just um, being able to foster that connection with other people who are going through similar stages in life, but also those different stages as well, because we'll see those bonds. And those differences in perspectives also just really helps with that social aspect and with bringing them more out of that depression or out of that loneliness. We also have socials from month to month. We'll do a different theme. They'll play games, also kind of helping with their mental cognition, but also encouraging them to meet other people than just the people that they have been in those groups and those programs with. Um, so those are our biggest things with our senior center. And we try to also take that out in the community for those who have a hard time going to either our Statesboro or Mooresville Senior Center, since Iredell County is a pretty long county and we have a lot of rural areas. We take our outreach program where we'll bring some of those programs to a facility in those areas where it's a lot harder for people to get transportation. So that way they can still be able to come out of their house and be active. We go to all of the libraries across the county. For example, have a chair exercise group also in one far end of the county at a church. And over time that has grown into 10 to 15 people. It depends on the week, but they still get out. It gets them their exercise, but it also allows them to meet new people, especially some who are kind of new to the area, because we do have a lot of people moving in from outside of the county, outside of the state, and they're just finding that new group of individuals that they can spend their time with, that they can enjoy their new living area and just interact. So we tried different services, different ways to keep them active, keep them social, because as Amber mentioned, that is a big thing where once they get isolated, the loneliness, or the depression, or even if they already are at that early stages of dementia and Alzheimer's, as they're more isolated, it progresses further. So just doing any little thing here and there, that can really just help change their day and then change their week and then their month and then the rest of their lives is what we look to do. Does anybody have any questions that I didn't quite answer?
Any questions for Brianna?
What counties do you work at?
It's Iredell County. So Iredell County covers Statesville, Harmony, Troutman, Mooresville, Union Grove. Part of Union Grove is also in the county.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
What age person are you talking about? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. So for our council on aging, we work with individuals who are 60 and over for all of our services. So we have our senior center services, and then we do services through nutrition, transportation, and in-home care as well.
Okay. Do you find they're usually older than that or?
Yeah, I will say at our senior centers, mainly we have a big group between 70 and 80, but we do have some that are kind of in those outlier ages, so in their early 60s, or also we have some people who are even in their 90s and still come to our exercise classes, or there's one in particular at our Statesville site, and she's 91. And so she at least comes in and watches. Line dancing, she can't quite get up and move as much. And she does kind of have early stages of Alzheimer's. So it's a little harder for her to remember the steps. But she does enjoy watching them, talking to new people, or sometimes too just going in one room with other individuals and just doing a puzzle, still kind of keeping her mind there. But any way that we can have them interacting with each other and just kind of feeling good and happy and kind of doing something for the day. We offer that at the senior centers.
Okay. I'm in Gaston County, and I just saw that they're moving the senior center to a different location. I don't know if anybody has any information on that. I think they're moving it to the Salvation Army building. I don't know when that's going to happen, but
Yeah, currently we're not moving at the moment. So there hasn't been any information pretty much on that. But our Statesville one is located kind of right near downtown, and then the Mooresville one is right in downtown.
thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, thanks, Brianna. That's some really good information. We really appreciate it. Thank you for your time today. Our next presenter today is Tasha Smith of Adventure House in Shelby. And Tasha, the floor is yours.
Okay. Oh, that's not the right screen. Oh, okay. You guys can see the screen that says Clubhouse International at the top?
We indeed can.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure I was on the right screen. Um, So I wanted to start out by talking a little bit about kind of the issue that we deal with on a regular basis around mental health uh, and I think the biggest piece is the isolation. A lot of times when there's not programs available for individuals to come to, a lot of times they're just staying home alone and isolating, which is probably the least healthy thing that can kind of happen for many reasons. Lack of getting out and getting movement, the sometimes that causes some self-medicating that's happening. We did see a lot of that struggle kind of come back during COVID because we were forced to close along with a lot of other programs. And so while we were still doing kind of some virtual stuff, we definitely saw some huge declines because that isolation was taking place again. So the biggest piece that we're seeing is just the volume of individuals that struggle with a mental illness or disorder of some kind. They're saying 1 in 4 individuals. And so mental illness is actually the largest health issue over any other currently worldwide, but yet it only receives about 20% um, of the health dollars and the funding for that. So and young individuals were definitely seen as a problematic issue as well. That 50% who were diagnosed with mental disorders show signs of the disease by 14, and then 75% by 25. And we do see a lot of those individuals that get the schizophrenia onset around that age of 25 or right before that, that are individuals that were in graduate programs at school, had no issues throughout their life, and just that kind of extreme change and the issues coming on at that age is very, very problematic. And so I think the most important thing is to have individuals and peers that they can relate to and communicate with, and then also gives a lot of support to the families as well that has quite a challenge dealing with that at that later time in life. So clubhouses have been kind of a solution in this area. The Clubhouse International has started in 1994, but the first clubhouse in New York City was started in 1948, called Fountain House in New York. So since 1994, that has grown to 329 clubhouses worldwide. Which is amazing. And when we all kind of get together, we just recently had the World Conference to be able to meet these individuals from all over the world that are doing this exact same work in this exact same way is pretty amazing. One big thing is that clubhouses are evidence-based, which is a huge piece for us. And we go through both CARF accreditation and Clubhouse International accreditation, and really provide this program that is quite different than any I've been an executive director for 20 plus years in different aspects of mental health. And this is the first one of its kind that really focuses on the social interactions and peer work together and really reducing that isolation. It shows through our evidence-based program that there's a 42% of employment rate with this population, with individuals with severe and persistent mental illness, which is compared to more of a 15% rate for individuals that aren't in a program like this. So it's great in that aspect. It's great in the reducing isolation and building relationships. And then also the cost. It's roughly $40 per day per member. So a year of Clubhouse services is equal to a 2-week stay in a hospitalization. And I think the biggest piece is we have shown we've shown about an 87% reduction in recidivism of hospitalizations, which is huge for this population. So going back to that New York City, the first clubhouse that was created, it was actually created by a group of men who were discharged from a state psychiatric hospital. And they got together and decided, like, what can we do to organize ourselves and become a support system for ourselves? And they created this fountain house model, or the clubhouse model through fountain house, that today sees an average of 300 members a day in that New York location that's still up and running. And the only reason they ended up hiring professional staff to come in is that they needed someone to kind of deal with the money and also to look at getting grants. So before that, it was completely run by themselves, in support of each other, which I think is just such an amazing kind of birthplace of what that looks like. So then Clubhouse International came around because they really wanted to expand this project and make sure that every city in the United States and then throughout the world had these same opportunities. And I think the biggest piece in the fundamentals of Clubhouse model is just so each individual can experience dignity, hope, and opportunity to kind of come out and get a job, get education, learn new skills, those types of things. So what is a clubhouse? So a clubhouse is specifically for people with severe and persistent mental illness, and it really encourages them to be in control of their own recovery process. So we don't deliver any medications. We don't have group therapy. We don't have psychiatrists here. But what we do is work side by side with the members every single day in units. The units that we particularly have here at Adventure House is we have a dining unit which does lunch every day. We have a snack bar that does breakfast every morning, and then lunch 3 days a week, and then all sorts of snacks and fun stuff. So we have an admin unit that does everything admin for the entire nonprofit. I mean, they're really doing all of those tasks. We have a bank. We're the payee for some of the members, but then other members just have a bank account with us, and they want those supports of like how to budget, and then also for us to write checks to whatever bills they have due and that sort of thing. And then we're starting in a gardening unit because that's become a really big piece for the members as well. But the goal is if you come into Adventure House for a tour, is that you wouldn't be able to identify who the members are and who the staff are. They are working side by side in a kind of job environment where they're creating these meals for the rest of the house, or they're serving breakfast, or they're working in the bank, or they're doing all the admin tasks. And they're working side by side, and the relationship really is the treatment. The relationships they have with each other, the support they get from the peers that they work with, the support that they get from the staff that they work with as well, really is that piece that's doing the work and getting them out of the house every day into a structured environment where they really feel like they have a purpose. Some of them I've heard some of the members on the phone with family members or friends, and they're like, oh, I'm at work today. And just the pride that they hear in their voice when they're saying that, because these are individuals that maybe haven't worked for years and years and years. And maybe we're just sitting at home in their apartment, not feeling very great about who they are and what they're accomplishing. And just to see that kind of that resolve and that pride in themselves, and then when they accomplish tasks, and it's amazing. If you came on a tour, you would see individuals on the computer creating spreadsheets, doing the budgets for the bank and making sure everything's tracked appropriately, making these fantastic meals and operating as servers, taking orders of the other members in the dining room, and that feeling of pride of like accomplishment, and that they're doing things that really they've been told that they probably weren't capable of. And I think that that's such an amazing piece of this. And so we really do operate from a strength-based and recovery-focused mentality with individuals. We do see a lot more med compliance once they start coming, because they really do want to be able to come in and really participate. And so, and that's encouraged, and staff and other members have conversations with these individuals about, what, they're avoiding taking their medications. And so another member might say, I did that for a while too. And, and here's how things improve for me. And this is what it looks like for me moving forward. And so that peer driven support is just unmatched as well. And I think that that's such an important piece of it. Membership is voluntary, but it's also without limits. I think we're one of the few programs around mental health that isn't a subscribed amount of time that here's where you can do. And then after that, they need to move on to something else. We have one member that has been coming for 35 years, who has also lived in one of our apartments for 20 plus years. And this was an individual that was in and out of hospitals multiple times throughout the year and hasn't been hospitalized since he started the program. So it's just that those different pieces that come together, create those social connections for the members, give them a sense of community, and then also allows them opportunities to go in the community and break down those stigmas that are already created in the community, where these individuals might be violent or aggressive or whatever that looks like. And so it's really, from a holistic point of view, such a great way to build self-worth, confidence, and to give purpose, which ultimately creates recidivism within hospitalization, and also involvement with incarcerations and police involvement, which I think is also a big piece. So some of our values, the beliefs are that every member can recover from the effects of mental illness and have a personally satisfying life. The members that are struggling with even the most severe issues with mental illness can contribute to the community. And we see that every single day in what they accomplish here, and the fact that they come 5 days a week, and they don't have to come 5 days a week. And we run from 8 to 4, and they come 5 days a week for the whole day. And it is really part of what they enjoy, and seeing their friends every day, coming in and getting breakfast, and then enjoying lunch with everyone, and socializing and having fun is such an important part of that recovery. And they really get that here. Clubhouses are very much holistic. I think we're looking at all aspects of the social determinants of health. There's such a strong correlation between mental illness and substance abuse. There's such a strong correlation between mental illness and homelessness, mental illness and incarceration and police involvement. And so we're really looking at all aspects of that. And the staff are also, through the relationship that they build with individuals when they become members, they're also starting to talk to them about, housing, also, food stability, education, income around Social Security or disability. And so individuals that don't have those things, then they'll start working with them to apply and get all the information they need. We had an individual that was living with grandparents for a long time and was kicked out, and literally had zero income, like is not on disability, was not receiving food stamps, did not get Medicaid. And we were able to connect him with all those pieces, and currently lives in our apartments as well. So we're doing that work that's important at the same time as we're doing the unit work. But I think like I said, the relationship really is the treatment, because we're able to build those trusting relationships and start working on those other pieces at the same time. Sustaining, responsive. So one of the pieces that I want to highlight under our responsiveness is that we really are dedicated to continuous improvement. So we have weekly meetings, and this started from the original Clubhouse Fountain House, is that all the decisions are made by the group as a whole. So we have weekly meetings where individuals, members, or staff are able to bring up anything that they see might be needed as a change or improvement. And we go by consensus. So something will be brought up, we'll discuss the issues, we'll discuss the pros and cons, and then we'll call for a vote. And whatever the consensus of the group is from the members and staff together, that's what decision is made, and we make that change moving forward. So they really do have that voice in the clubhouse and how we do things. Back to the cost effective, like I said earlier, 1 year of clubhouse services is the same cost as a 2-week hospitalization for these individuals. So from a budget standpoint, it really does make good sense. Clubhouses are more than just a program. It really is a community working together. If I really encourage you to come have lunch with us or come do a tour, because you'll really see, we get an average of 45 members a day, and you will just see them working away, whether they're in the kitchen or the snack bar, the bank, or the admin unit. But they have their roles. They are enjoying each other while they're doing it, but they're really learning skills necessary to hopefully move on to an employment opportunity in the future or currently. And so it's really something to see. And if there's not a staff in that unit, if someone's on vacation or whatever that looks like, that unit will run perfectly well without the staff there. These members know what they're doing. We have a unit meeting every morning where people sign up for the different tasks, and they're so amazing at what they're doing, and they know how to get everything done. And so they just kind of hop to it. And so it can run with or without staff, which really is makes us proud, because it goes back to how clubhouses started originally in New York City. So who do clubhouses serve? So basically all we need is a referral from either a psychiatrist or a primary care doctor, and it would just need to show that they have a severe and persistent mental illness, and that PSR psychosocial rehabilitation programs are referred and would be in the best interest of the individual. Like I said earlier, the meaningful relationships is the core ingredient. It's so hard. Staff try to describe what their role is, and I try to describe it too, because it's really it's working in a kitchen or it's working in a snack bar, but at the same time, it's not. They really have to be talent scouts. Like their role is to find out what makes these individuals tick, what talents they have, what they're interested in, and what they might want to go into one of our education programs to pursue further, or transitional employment. And so they really are talent scouts. And then it's just the encouragement of, you can do this. Like, how about we do this together? And really the encouragement of getting them to participate in the work order day is kind of the role of the individual. And then everything, and I'm sure all of you know, and then everything else that pops up on any given day throughout a day in the work that you do is also their role. I spoke a little bit about the work order day and the basic components of it. We just try really hard to engage members to participate. We have the unit meetings every morning and every afternoon with what specific things need to be done throughout the day, and people sign up for it. We encourage them to try new things throughout the day. They also get to choose what unit they want to be in, and they can change that on a daily basis, or they can stick with the unit, a particular unit for years and years and years. It's completely voluntary and completely up to them. But like I said, that we don't have any doctors, we don't do medication administrations, we don't have any specific clinical therapies or treatments at the clubhouse. But there is a strong clinical benefit to the model through these kind of non-traditional ways of connecting and working with the members here. So really what the basis of this is to do kind of pre-vocational work, but it has to be meaningful work. We're not coming up with tasks just to come up with tasks. We have specific things that we have entry-level opportunities that really anyone could kind of come in and do. And then there's higher level pieces that only specific members can do, but it's something that's very interesting and important to them. I mean, we have members doing grant writing that are interested in that and that are more than capable of doing that. We have members that are being the bank teller at our bank. Members always participate in our staff interviews. I feel bad for individuals that are coming into interview because they come into our conference room and there's like 15 people around the table, and half of those are staff and half of those are members. And they are completely involved in the hiring process of the people that they're going to be working side by side with. The members give tours to community members and to possible new members. And they do an amazing job at that and sell it better than any staff member here possibly could. We have a group of members that are doing a weekly podcast, and the podcast is amazing. I bought them in the equipment and I said, if this is something that you want to do, like, let's really look into it. And so they're interviewing each other and they're talking about their experience going through the system and trying to get services to meet their needs. And so the empowerment of just being able to speak on that and have other people that maybe are going through the same thing get to hear it is just so, so amazing. And so the meaningful work is really important. It can't be tasks just for there to be tasks. And they're not childish tasks. They're tasks for adults, and they're things that are really pre-vocational work that can get them ready and prepared for a job if that's something that they want to look at in the future. And then this is kind of a layout of our morning unit meeting, and then we participate in the actual unit work. And then we have the community lunch all together, and all the staff and myself included go down every day and enjoy the most delicious $2.50 meals that there's no way I could make for myself under that price. And it's just amazing to have those connections and just to sit as a community together every day. And then we have our afternoon unit meetings, and then the unit work continues after that. Employment is a big piece that we do. Like I said, one of the key components is to get that 42% employment for individuals with severe and persistent mental illness. And so we have 3 different types of employment programs. The most important one is transitional employment. And I could go on and on about this, but I'll try to do it as succinctly as possible. So this is a program where we go out into the community and recruit businesses and offer them our services to basically, for 6 to 9 months is how long the individuals can hold the position. I'm in a meeting. One of the members is knocking on my door. And so we go with to businesses and ask them. We basically have our staff go in and train for 2 weeks in the position, and then that staff is the contact for that business. And then we decide what member would be successful in that position for that 6 to 9 month period. And so then we train them, and then they go to work, and we do regular weekly check-ins with both the member and then also the business. And if the member is sick or is anything is going on where they can't come into work today, that staff member for free goes in and fills that position. And so it's a really great way for the individual to build their resume, because there's probably been long gaps of time where they haven't been employed or working. And so really help them kind of rebuild that resume, but also have it do through the trusted relationship they already have with us at the clubhouse. And we're the individual that like kind of checks in and has hard conversations when those need to happen. But it's also a great benefit to the business, because they will never have that position not full, because when that 6 to 9 months is up, we already have a new member that is ready to kind of move into that position, and we do the training for them, and then our staff fill in free of charge to them if they're ever out. And so that's kind of our like first jump back into kind of the working world, and lets them identify, am I able to do this? Am I ready to do this? And we also are very clear and concise about how many hours that they can work and still be able to retain their disability, because they're in that contemplation stage if work is something that they can handle with their mental illness. And then we have supportive education or supportive work where we are there for them to help them through the interview process, and we also connect with their employer. So if the employer has any issues, they can contact us and we can have those hard conversations. And then independent employment, we'll help them with like resume building and stuff, but that ultimately is their position to hold on their own. But it's been very successful, and we have a similar type of program with education. We have 4 different members that are in their GED program at the community college. We have a member that just graduated with their phlebotomy certification, which he is extremely proud of and did amazingly well at it. But we also do here at the clubhouse, we do peer driven tutoring. So if they're having any issues, we have peers that are proficient in specific areas, and so they'll sit down and work side by side with them, and then also staff that that help them as well. And we do transportation to and from the school for them for their education. So yeah, like I said, the program as a whole, we are under Clubhouse kind of International. There's a specific set of standards that we follow. But again, everything's kind of decided by the House as a whole through consensus. And the biggest piece is to really not to be doing the isolation and be able to come and have a place to be every day and work on specific skills. And then the community support piece, like I said earlier, we're always working to get them connected to food stamps or Medicaid or disability, whatever is appropriate and are things that they need. We'll sit down and spend the time. And, you know, I'm sure some of you have worked with individuals trying to get disability. That is not a short process. It's a very long process. There's a lot of aspects to it. There's a lot of no's before you hear a yes. So those are very long-term supports that we're giving. Oh, another big piece of Clubhouse is that we do what we call reach outs or outreach. And so if an individual is gone for a couple of days, and they're aware of this when they start the program, it's either a member will text them and reach out, or staff will, depending on who has the best relationship. And just to let them know they're needed and wanted, and that we're checking in on them and that we miss them. And that has been really successful about keeping people connected to the program. And I think not a lot of programs do this, and it's a core aspect of Clubhouse and what we do. And you know, because everyone has the bad days, or you know, with bipolar, they might be going through like a depression piece, but we're reaching out and we're making sure that they know that they're needed and wanted here, and if there's anything we can do for them. Also, when individuals are sick, we have from our personal garden and the garden unit, we do bouquets of flowers, and we'll bring them to them and just let them know we're thinking about them. And then we always send out cards as well. So that reach out component of the work is really important. We do once a week, we do a social, which is a huge part of our program. We think fun is a huge piece of their wellness and connectedness. And so we do it every Tuesday. And last night they went to Putt Putt in Gastonia, and then Steak and Shake for dinner, which is a fun thing that they look forward to every week. And then once a month we do a weekend outing as well. And what we're going to start doing is we're going to start having a place at the farmers market, and they're going to start making homemade soaps and like dog treats and bouquets of flowers and stuff to sell at that, to bring back for their social program, to do different things, extra things that they want to do here. So yeah, so the outcomes I kind of already talked about already. The cost of the program is super effective, and the employment program does a huge increase from 15% to 42% employment with people with mental illness. And the reduction of hospitalization stays, an 87% reduction for Clubhouse members, reduced incarcerations. That's huge. We have a lot of members that when they start our program have a lot of involvement with police and incarcerations. And I have been in the position for a little over 3 years, and we haven't had any of those individuals have more or any new incarcerations or police involvement. So that's huge. And then, of course, improved well-being. We have a huge success with medication compliance and people really wanting to feel better and do better so they can be at the program daily. And then we have a wellness program as well that we really work on. We do walks around the block and up by the hospital. We have videos that we do for exercise and that sort of thing. So it's super important. Like I said, the evidence-based Clubhouse International won the Conrad Hilton Award, Humanitarian Award for the work that we do. And then we do, like I said, the CARF accreditation as well as the Clubhouse accreditation every 3 years. And then these are, I just wanted to show a list for people that are in different areas of North Carolina. These are the clubhouses that are in North Carolina. And we are in talks currently with DHHS, and I think they're going to put some money into hopefully expanding the amount of clubhouses that are in North Carolina so more cities have access to that and more individuals can be helped and served. So I'm sure I went a little bit over time, but that's our program in a nutshell. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thanks, Tasha. That's some great information about the whole Clubhouse
Yeah.
concept from Clubhouse
Yeah.
International. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And, Brianna, we appreciate your information too about your work with seniors. And I guess just since you still have your slide up here, I could see that also for the partners catchment area, we have clubhouses in Catawba County, in Newton, and in Morganton, in
Yes.
Burke County.
And Morganton is brand new. So we're
Okay.
excited that that one was able to get up and running there. So yeah, if you have any in one of those areas, feel free to reach out.
Well, I think I might, since Burke County is one of my responsibilities.
Awesome. Yeah, Stephen's
so-
great. He's the executive director there.
So thank you to both of you. And Amber wanted to give us some additional comments.
Yeah, thank you, Tasha, and thank you, Brianna. I just wanted to say there's something really beautiful and special about being in a safe spot with people who are at similar phases in their life as you are, and that connection is just like really irreplaceable, honestly. And when we think about other, we have this severe and persistent mental illness clubhouse model, we have our senior centers. There's also other opportunities for social connectedness. If you have family or friends, work connections, even neighborhood connections, I will say I just recently joined my HOA, and granted, it is a little stressful, but I also have connections now with my neighbors that I've never had before and didn't know before. Things like support groups, places to volunteer, clubs, adult sports leagues, things like YMCAs and other, kickball, softball programs. After school programs for young people can be really helpful if that's an opportunity that you have in the area that you live in. Any sort of religious or cultural, groups that you are connected to, hobbies. And then, we talk about all of these social connectedness in person, which is so, so, so important. But also there's a vast community online of people who have similar interests as you as well. So if you need some extra social connectedness, or you know someone who needs some extra social connectedness, just remember that there is literally people out there who have similar interests in you, and sometimes you just have to find it, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, thanks, Amber. And I guess just as a final note to that, Tasha, of course, you're in Shelby with Adventure House. I didn't mention that, which is also Cleveland County is also one of our parts of the catchment area. So, well, that's great. We appreciate the three of you speaking today. If there aren't any additional questions or comments, I'll give that just a quick second. If not, everyone enjoy the end of July here, and as we roll into August, and have a great end of your summer. And we appreciate it. And we're done today. Thank you very much.
I have a question. I'm so sorry.
Go right ahead.
I'm so sorry. I don't mean to do that. But I'm just wondering, I mainly work with the Hispanic community, and I'm just wondering, do you have any information, because it's really hard to find any information for the Hispanic community. Does any of the resources that were, they mentioned, does anybody, do they work with the Hispanic community?
I mean, we definitely have brochures and stuff that are in Spanish. So yeah, I mean, but not specifically. I worked before this in Fayetteville, and we had Spanish, multicultural and Spanish speaking therapists that we worked with, and I know how important that is. And I ran the sexual assault center in Washington State for 9 years, and we had Spanish speaking and multicultural therapists there as well. But we don't have anything specifically for that population at Adventure House, but we make it work, and we're definitely open to members from that community, certainly, and welcome it. And so let me know if you would like any brochures sent out that are in Spanish, and we're happy to do that.
Okay, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
And the same thing with us, we don't have anything specific, but we do try to always get brochures that are also in Spanish, especially at our Mooresville Senior Center, because we do have more of a community going to that center, and they bond very well. But we also try and have like a resource section where we have both of that information. So it also has information on agencies kind of throughout the community as well, that they're able to receive those services too. And we do try to find specifics, especially in like our SHIP program, because we do have volunteers who can help with Medicare, and that is for anyone who is on Medicare, even if they're below 60. We can still provide counseling for them. And so we do, we're still looking for a replacement, but we had a volunteer who was able to speak Spanish, and we are able to call interpreter for those services too.
Okay, thank you for those answers. Anything else? Okay, all righty. Everyone, enjoy your day, and we appreciate your time here. Thank you.